I'm whacking out the sticker right thing. Turn this lamp off a little bit. Or down a little bit. Oh, this is brutal. And like 12 midnight, I took a gabapentin and I took a 10 milligrams of Valium. And it's 2:13. I woke up at first. I was so stupid. I just started talking at the computer. Didn't even have it on. Because I'm like, what the hell am I doing awake at 2:13? It's not 2:18. It's like, ever since I did that EMG test on my leg, man, it's been just murdering me. With that leg, which is my right leg, and my left leg. Just the pain has just been stupid. And I did make an appointment for the 26th of this month. It's the 8th. But if they wanted to operate on me tomorrow, I'd shake their hand and just say, yeah, go for it. I'm so gung-ho about getting something done about this knee. It's just, that pain in the legs got me breathing like a fish out of water. It's affecting my heart rate and stuff, because I guess pain will do that. The cold should be pretty much done. But this is bad. Combination of those two pills usually knocks me out. And I got a full belly. I ate before I went to sleep, so it's not about it's only about the amount of pain in my legs, which is enough to wake me up after 2 hours, even with the gabapentin and the Valium in me at the same time. And I'll chart it down there, but I broke the volume up into 5 milligram sections. I just took them more often, and then I don't know, it'll show up in the chart. I write it down. This is brutal. The amount of pain is just excruciating. Whatever, my leg did not like being have electricity run through it. I don't know how my body reacts to various things, and it's weird. CRPS is just a weird thing. There's no telling what makes it do what. I know that emotional distress is like really bad for it. Yeah, but I shouldn't be awake. This is dumb. Maybe I can go back to sleep. I don't know. It's just a lot of fucking pain. And it's like the left leg hurting like a bastard too. I had two choices. I guess I could have hopped on the weights and done the treadmill and tried to work my leg. Or I took the chemical way out because I wanted to go to sleep, because I like to wake up in the morning and keep a pattern. Not wake up at 2:13 and be so out of it that I'm talking to a computer that doesn't even have a camera activated on it. I don't have the Yeti plugged in or anything. Yeah. Anyways, I did make my appointment today, and it's for the 26th, so it's the 8th today, I believe. I gotta wait 18 days before they evaluate the EMG, and I gotta convince the guy to cut me. His name is Cochran, so, you know, maybe I shouldn't call him a Mick, but it's just like, cut me, Mick, cut me. You know, just get it done. Man. The one good thing around here is, I guess, the weather's not going to be very bad for what February is like around here, because February, the two evil months are January and February. So, um, we're going to have like the lowest temperature in the next 10 days is supposed to be 27 degrees, and we're going to have highs in the 50s and stuff. So, you know, if I had normal legs that I could walk on, I could be taking walks out of here and whatnot. I found another book I'm going to try with the Blue Yeti. It's over here from my childhood. I'll show you the cover of it. I did some work on it yesterday. And I'm going to do the Seven Voyages of Sinbad. Since I'm having so much trouble with the guy's style of writing, who writes the North Native American book I want to read, The Last Algonquin. The cover of it looks something like this. And it's called Arabian Nights. And it's a very fond childhood memory. The back of it, I think it says Educator Classic Series. It doesn't say that it's for youngins, but I actually sort of remember vaguely the day that I bought this, that we went to an aunt's house. They had a garage sale by there, and they had these books, and they came in a 12-volume set. This was book number 8. In the volume, it had the Virginian, Pinocchio, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and other stuff. But it has these hokey fucking pictures in it, which look like anybody could draw, but they're effective. So, you know, they're like etched in my brain, because I remember being in the 4th grade and looking at these pictures and reading this in the 4th grade. And I remember being at the garage sale and begging my mom to buy these books. I don't know what they cost, but she bought them. I don't know how old I was, but it was like around the 4th grade I had these and was reading them. Reading the 7 Voyages of Sinbad in school. And I was working on it, and it's like, well, I was having trouble with the other book, so I could try this other book, the 7 Voyages of Sinbad, and just break it up into 7 parts each voyage. You know? Let's see if I can find some more hokey artwork in here. It's also annotated, and it's set up for like younger people. But it's got pictures in it like this. I don't know if you can see that. I can't really see the camera. And yeah, books have always been an important part of my life. But I remember that vaguely, just so vaguely. Begging my mom to buy these volumes of books. Whoops, I said his name. My brother, this is a weird picture here. The 5th voyage. My brother claims that at least one of these still exists at his house. I bought this off of the internet. This isn't an original. I just remember the series of books from my childhood, because, you know, talking about 40 years ago, I bought it, and they were published 1 year after my birth in 1968. Pinocchio, Case Book of Sherlock Holmes was one of them, the Virginian, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I mean, you could even, but it's kind of funny, I knew nothing about those books. Not who wrote them, nothing. but the artwork on the front of that book, and through the internet you can find anything, and I found that book. But there's no reason for me to be on here except for that I'm in a state of shock because I should not be awake, and I don't know why, my leg getting shot up with electricity, why it would be such a bitch to me. Since Tuesday, it is now, I think, Saturday morning. It's been bad, boy. As soon as I got home, actually, from the test, it's been bad. And before that, I was lifting weights and walking on the treadmill for about 4 days in a row. First time I walked on a treadmill, I was like in the kind of pain I'm in now. And then the second time I think I only walked on a treadmill twice. Second time it wasn't that bad, and then I got that cold. I had the 101 fever and stuff, and I had lifted weights 4 or 5 times and walked on the treadmill those 2 days in a row, and then I got that cold and was all over achy. And haven't done much since then. So I need my wind if I'm going to read. That's what I want to do. Is read. I got books. Like, I don't know, like a dozen books around here that I was going to read and put on the internet. But yeah, I think I'll do that anyway. I think I'll stay off here. I'm boring myself on here. I've popped on here 3 days in a row now. This I don't understand. It's very hard to take. Why I'm in this much pain, I don't know. Gabapentin's not going to knock it out at 300 milligrams, and I'm not going to take more than that. Before it got like this, like the first video I made that says gabapentin in the title, it's like I am all fucked up. It's like I did not know that if you mixed Valium with non-narcotic gabapentin, you would get some kind of weird side effect. The drug says on the side of the bottle, I'll take my glasses off to even read this. May cause dizziness. I agree. May cause blurred vision. I always have blurred vision in the morning. And may cause drowsiness. So you got dizziness, drowsiness, and blurred vision. And I get all those from it. It's supposed to be non-narcotic though, so why is it making me drowsy? I don't know. But what exactly it does, I don't know. I don't understand how it works chemically. I just know that if you take it by itself, it really doesn't have the same effect that it does if you mix it with Valium or Xanax, because I think I tried my first one of those. I was still taking Xanax, I think. And still had Xanax in my system, but I haven't taken any Xanax since January 4th, and it is now February 8th, so, like I said, Xanax is the past for me. It's like if I was going to break, I talked to my psychologist lady, Thursday, today is early Saturday morning at 2:31 in the morning, and she was like, well, if you're going to break, you were going to break then. I said I was so nervous because, being able to walk, kind of important. It's especially important to me because I don't have anyone. I'm here by myself, and I got to take care of myself, and it's, a huge deal. I don't have like, hey, Marietta, why don't you do this for me? Why don't you do that for me? Hey, roommate, why don't you do this? Why don't you help me with that? It's me getting up on this leg and staggering around here, hoping I don't fall. Putting handprints on the wall and walking with a cane. So, I was point was I was very nervous, and Xanax actually did cross my mind. I'm like, maybe this is the time that I can go ahead and take Xanax. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. And I didn't even take any Valium until I got in the office, and it was a half an hour before I went in for my appointment because I got there at 10:47. So at 12 noon, I more or less dry swallowed 10 milligrams of Valium. I had gum like I have now in my mouth, so I was able to dry swallow it. They don't taste as bad as um, Xanax does if you do that. But yeah, so the Xanax thing's definitely over. If I was gonna break down and go back to it, I'm not saying that the thought crossed my mind just because I was like that nervous. Because I was like, oh, man, what if they tell me my nerves? They haven't told me anything about it, but it's like, what if they put those needles in there and my nerves don't make my muscles jump? And like I get dead nerves in there, but he tested them and all my nerves in my legs seemed to work. He wouldn't say much about it, but you can tell, because you can feel the contractions. You can feel the leg move and the calf muscle contract and everything. So to me, technicians, X-ray people, they don't say much because if it gets back to the doctors that they're handing out diagnoses, it gets them in trouble. Whether it gets them fired or not, I don't know. But they always, I've asked before, like I've asked X-ray technicians and stuff, and they're like, "That's not for me to say. That's for the doctor to say." So very rarely have I heard any commentary from anyone doing any tests because they're too afraid of the doctors. Oh, what is that? 17 minutes? Yeah, I don't know. I'm just documenting this bizarre episode and this whole um, chain of events that started. Now it's February, so I am a month and a half away from when it all started. I would make it a full year of the withdrawal stuff. And, I had a lot of things in my way. Psychological barriers, and physical barriers, and housing situations, and this knee just needs operated on, and it's frustrating when you know that the eventual outcome is going to be an operation, and you have to fight so hard to get them to do it, because they don't want to do it for whatever reason, but it needs done. And I got the left leg is weak and bad, and it's getting effect having a bad effect put on it by my right leg, which is my good strong leg. It actually has a calf muscle that I depend on when I'm walking. So I got, it's having a bad effect on my left leg. I can't be walking around practicing walking if I'm falling. Because, I've fallen about 10 times in the last month. It only takes one fall. I found that out. It only takes one, like Babe Ruth said, it only takes one to get it. I think he said it only takes one to hit it. When somebody said, "Hey, that's 2 strikes, buddy, on you." It only takes the one to hit it. It only takes one to get it, man. You fall down one time, you twist a knee, you tear an ACL or an MCL, or sprain an ankle, or even break a bone. Because I fell that one time, and I hit my arm on a fan, and my arm went behind my head, and I tore my rotator cuff, and I suffered with that for 10 months before that got better. And I still feel that some days, but it used to be I had a different type of lamp, and it used to be every morning I wake up, and you can't see my arm, but I reach up to turn on the lamp, and every morning I'd scream for 3 months, and that habit was so ingrained of waking up, turn on the light, that I would forget and use the same arm. It had a torn rotator cuff, and I could only raise it like this far before the pain would set in, and I'd reach up all the way, and I'd scream, like, not like scream, it'd be like, ah! You know, start out every morning. It wakes you up, man. It wakes you up faster than a cup of coffee, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, I had a torn rotator cuff. I never went to see a doctor about it or anything like that because my sister had fallen off a porch and torn her rotator cuff, and she went to doctors and stuff, and they were like, sometimes you have to let those things heal by themselves, unless it's a severe tear. They don't like to do operations on that, and they're right about that one. For this Baker's thing, it needs operated on. It will get operated on eventually. But yeah, that reminds me of a funny joke I told, because that's at my brother-in-law's house, and he was out there, and they had like a pretty, maybe like 4 steps down to like gravel, because he put gravel down, like for some reason around his porch, and then gravel spilling down into his driveway. And I slipped on his top step and fell, I don't know how many feet into the gravel really hard. And I know how to fall from so much practice. And I hit on my side, and I just lay there because it hurt so damn bad. And he's like, "Are you alright? Are you alright?" I was like, ah, 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 I can't feel my legs. He looked at me like, you son of a bitch, man. That's not funny. Said, that's not funny. I started laughing because, of course, I had CRPS. I couldn't feel my legs uh, before I fell. I sure felt my shoulder and my arm where I hit in the gravel, though. Yeah, I was acting like I was paralyzed. That was wrong. So he was like, Are you all right?" And I'm like, I, I can't feel my legs." He was like, and for a second, he just paused and he was like, "Man, you son of a bitch." That's not funny, because this is what I feel like. It's like this cover art. You see that genie where his legs cut off at the waist and there's just a bunch of mist? That's what I feel like, because I can't really feel where my legs are in space and time. And, now I can feel them a lot better, because when I do this and move this leg, and yeah, suddenly I can feel it, because there's a tense amount of pain in that knee. But most of the time I can't feel where my legs are, and I've told you before that I would cross my legs and not feel that they are crossed and get up and fall. So I'm like that genie. I'm just like fog ending at the waist. I don't know where my legs are until I have a bunch of weight on them. When I have a bunch of weight on them and I'm standing, then I got a rough idea of where they are. But otherwise, there's just this. There's just a mist. Like this genie. There's just nothing there. So, yeah, I've been abusing y'all with a video a day now for like 4 days. So what I'm gonna do is I can read this for some reason much better and I'm tired of trying to read an Indian book. Love the Indian book. I'm gonna do it in small sections and then make a playlist. But the print on it is really freaking small. It's really written in a way that's weird to me. This is also written in a weird, archaic way, but I have much less trouble with it. So I don't think you're going to hear from me until I'm going to work on that book. Because that book I can do. It's much shorter than The Last Algonquin. And it seems to be written in a style that agrees with me more. So, not the whole book, but it's chapter 8 of this. It's called The 7 Voyages of Sinbad the Sailor. And there's already a lady on here doing that for LibriVox. But frankly, she's not very good. I'm going to do it better than she does it. And I'm going to do it just because I like to do it. And that brings back fond memories of my childhood. I had like very weird thoughts in my head yesterday when I was reading that book, because it was like my parents had to take care of me I mean, you can look at it a couple of ways. Like, they were negligent, perhaps. You know, like, I had people tell me, like, professional people in the psychiatric profession and, like, the pain management unit at Cleveland, like, throwing shade at my parents. I'm like, I don't blame them for what happened. You know, I told them I had pain in my legs. Some stupid ass doctor didn't take me serious and said I had growing pains. He sent me to a chiropractor. Then I had a spinal tumor. Screw up my legs. I had my ability to urinate, and I had like serious surgery done. And but they were there the whole time, and I remember like they stood by me and they had to take care of me and stuff. And then I can't tell the full story, but and then like I saw my mom before she passed in 2015, but she had already slid into dementia. She was only half there. I saw her a couple of times before that, but because of a circumstance, I couldn't really go to the house, and uh, I didn't see my dad for like 13 years. And just the one time, the last time I like indirectly called him a dog was the last thing I said to my father when he died. And you'll have to piece that all together because I can't talk about that. But yeah, for it to end like that, and then for me to think about laying there an invalid and being taken care of by my mom and being bought special foods, and then when it's her turn to be an invalid, the best I can do is be emotional support for the person that was taking care of her. My brother was taking care of her. We weren't going to send her to a nursing home, and it went on for years. And the guilt that I feel a lot of guilt over that. And I have a I'm in the city I'm in now. I have an aunt, and she's the one that it's been in the process of dying for since September 13th, and that she keeps getting better and getting worse and getting better and getting worse. And I used to give her hugs and tell her I loved her, and then I would feel guilty. I was like, yeah, these hugs and I love yous belong to my mom. They don't belong to her. And I, her past, well, her past was her past. But I think nobody, I think, would blame me for saying that my mom was a much nicer and better person. And because of bizarre circumstances that are hard to explain and that I won't explain, I couldn't, be there for her. And she was there for me when I was an invalid, when I contracted CRPS after my spinal reconstruction and had to learn how to walk and everything. And she cooked for me and, you know, bathed me and took care of me, and then I couldn't do the same. I couldn't even see her until they put my dad in a nursing home, and then could go back there. And yeah, so yeah, I feel like it's very weird. It's like when I had an animal that I was really fond of. I don't think I ever gave it a name because it was just a stray cat that kind of adopted me. And this is going back to when I was a writer, and it got sick, and I didn't have any money to take it to the vet. And this is a very shameful memory, but it was really sick, and it would lay beside me, and I put like a car air freshener on top of it and stuff, like almost like a joke, and it was just dying, and I never took it to the vet. And it died horribly. And it's, you know, if it was a person, you would say it died in my arms, but it died while I was holding it. And I didn't have any money to take it to the vet, and I didn't take care of it. It was a cool cat too. And actually, I just threw away a picture of that cat sitting on a pillow with an my old phone that I had in the '90s, because what I'm trying to say is, like, when the last memories of something, or how you finish, it just affects everything else. So I cannot think about that cat without thinking about me letting it die slowly, and not at least putting it out of its misery, or finding some money to take it to the vet. I was like, you gotta live and die on your own. And I think about that, and then it's like the last memories I have of, my childhood wasn't all bad. It would almost be better if it was all bad, but my parents were just not quite. They were just supposed to have a hard time growing up. So, my dad may have killed people, but he really wasn't that bad of a guy, as crazy as that might sound. Um, until later, I found out some other stuff. But I mean, he did love me, and he was just, sick in the head, and just was not a well person emotionally. And who would be growing up like he grew up? Then my mom was very loving. My dad never said he loved me, and was like, I don't know how to describe him, but my mom, she loved me, and expressed it all the time, and I got, love from her and affection. And I just it all ended badly, and then that book gave me that childhood memory, and it's like, it kind of like taints my whole um, childhood and my whole life. The way things went down from between the years of 2003 and their deaths, and from what happened in 2003 until their deaths in 2015. Another interesting thing that happened was, like, yesterday. I was like, yeah, talked to my brother on the phone, and I was like responding under somebody's video that was, they didn't even know what they were abusing, but they were abusing diphenhydramine. They were like taking large amounts of it, and it was I clicked on it just because it was some pretty teenage girl. She has like 50,000 views. So I was like, man, if I was a pretty teenage girl, I'd probably have a lot more views. But anyway, she's on there and she's talking. She doesn't even know what she's doing or what she's abusing. She just knows that it's affecting her badly. And some guy made a comment to me about Xanax. He's like, get help, please do it for me. And he was like making a drastic plea to me. And here I've been off of Xanax for over a month, and it's just part of my past now. And, he's like, don't go cold turkey. And he's like, I wrote it like 2 months ago. It said 2 months, but it should be more like, I guess that's right, because I said I was struggling with the Xanax for like 8 months trying to get off of it. And he was like, yeah, I was on that stuff. And my comment was something like, it was harder to kick than heroin. He's like, yeah, I was on that stuff. And he was, like pleading with me, like, get help, and it's like all that. And I just explained it to him. I said, you're right, that's music to anybody's ears, it seems. I said, you're right, you can't go cold turkey off of that. And I said, but I haven't been taking it, and it's a part of my past. And the way you do it is you take a much weaker benzodiazepine, and at some point you don't need that anymore. But you kind of need it if you are in the amount of pain that I'm in, and your leg don't work, and you have a Baker cyst. It's probably like a bad time to go off of benzos. I tried to knock back my dosage, but I've been in so much pain that I'm just taking what the doctor ordered right now. So I was trying to knock my dosage back down, because I have a couple days where I just took a 0.5 mg, and a couple of days where I took just 1 mg when I'm supposed to be. Wait, let me get this right. screwed that all up. I'm still thinking in Xanax speak. I took 5 milligrams in one day when I'm supposed to be taking 30. And I have other days where I take 10 where I'm supposed to be taking 30. And like ever since I got that cold around the first, I've been taking 30 every day steady. And today I did it in 5, so I was breaking it up into smaller doses. But I still got the cold a little bit. It's lingering. And the pain in my legs is just so bad. It's like, now is not the time. I'm not ready. But I'm still cutting back on my dose on volume, if at all possible. But after the surgery and after I can walk around, maybe tomorrow, if I can get back to sleep somehow, it's 2:53. Maybe tomorrow I'm gonna start back up with the exercises, whether I'm sick feeling or not, and start exercising, and even and walking on that Baker cyst, no matter what it feels like. And I got my appointment set up for the 26th, and I told him like any cancellations before that, as long as it's not the same day, if it's the next day, I'll be in there talking to the guy. I said, you use me as a fill-in on any cancellation between now and February 26th. And I'll see him and he'll talk to me about the test, and I will be very insistent about the surgery that needs done, that should have been done a long time ago. And maybe this will be Xanax is over for me though, so maybe then my knee will be over for me as far as the Baker cyst, and I can walk again, and my life can improve. But yeah, I don't know. It's very hard to express those feelings, or not so much to express them, but to articulate them, like how I feel about the whole thing. About like it's how like things end that seem to matter, and um, the way things ended with my parents, because my parents, they loved their children, they just were not well people, especially my father. And my mom, um, she was always loving. She had this strange thing that people did. She'd send me off to school as a kid, and she'd be like like a cat, you know, and fix my hair and stuff. I remember that. I'm thinking, please don't do that. But she wanted to do it, so I let her do it. But she would be like a cat, grooming her little kitten, sending me off to school. And yeah, it just kind of, I think that's why I like um, other people that were raised in that situation that have to go nameless. I think that's why they use a lot of chemicals and stuff, is because it's weird. It's like if you have all bad parents, it's like I know a guy that had like a father that was just a bastard, just beat him and didn't take care of him, and he's like, I talked to him about it, and he was like, yeah, he died in such and such. And I said, did you go to his funeral? He's like, yeah. I wanted to make sure the son of a bitch was dead. He actually wanted to look in the coffin and make sure he was dead. That's the only reason he was at the funeral. And somebody was offering him condolences, and he said, this is a happy day. I said, this isn't a day for condolences. And he walked out to the funeral, walked out the door. So, in a way, that's easier than to have the mixed thing where you got the person with the psychological issues and they're nice to you, and they make sure that some of the time, and abusive some of the time, and terrifying some of the time, and some of the time you feel like they're expressing love in some way to you. They never tell you that they love you, but it's like a mixture of feelings. And I don't know, but sometimes I think it would just be better for me if I just the last time I saw my father, the look of shame and despair and pain on his face with something I'll never forget. He wouldn't look me in the eye. It's the last time I saw him when he was alive. I tried to look him in the eye and make contact to him, and eye contact, and he wouldn't make any eye contact with me. And there was all these little dogs yapping around my feet, and I just said, dogs, dogs, and more dogs, and indirectly called him a dog. And I told that story before. I went in the basement to get what I came to get, and by the time I came back, he was gone. And then I ended up in a nursing home, and I made plans to see him before he died, but he died before I could do that. I had arrangements to see him the following week, and he died 4 days later. And I don't know. They said he was pretty well out of his head. He was from the 50s, and they used to have a habit in the 50s of they'd wear a t-shirt and they'd wrap up their pack of cigarettes inside there's pictures of him with his cigarettes wrapped up in his sleeve, so he got, out of his head in the nursing home, according to my sister. And he would like try to reach for cigarettes that weren't there, and he was talking about like he was in the army, talking about like he was actually in the army, and talking about, so he was only partially there. He might not even remember me at that point. He had a stroke and was like life flighted in a helicopter, and it was a whole big thing. And yeah, it's a story I can't explain to you. It was something like, sometimes the truth is more than people can handle, and so you just have to leave it alone. Anyways, I was starting to say that I was talking to my brother. I said that about that video with the girl of abusing diphenhydramine and not even knowing. Some cute high schooler looking young girl, I was like, good Lord, she's cute. And I was looking, I was clicking through Xanax videos at the time. I left that comment because I was still taking Xanax. And she was there, and she was like, I don't know what the title was, but she didn't know what she was abusing. And, people had to explain to her, like, you're just taking a lot of diphenhydramine at a time, and over-the-counter pills. And that's having, abusing over-the-counter stuff. But he was like, yeah, it's just another person spilling their guts on the internet. He said, I hate that. And I was like, well, I talk on the internet, Like I said, my family's really not that interested in my Xanax problem, in my Xanax situation, because that's what I do, is I spill my guts on the internet. A lot worse than that girl, and I got a lot worse to spill than that cute redheaded girl, all of about 20 at the most. And yeah, he has contempt for people like that, so he has contempt for me, and he's expressing that contempt, not knowing that I did that yesterday, and now I'm doing it. I talked to him about 6 hours ago, and I'm doing it now. And it's what's been helping me get through. This is my therapy. This is what's helping me get through, helping me get clean, is doing this. You got to face another person and admit you have a problem, and I don't have. I got people that, they're too self-involved. Like I actually send him links, not of my videos, like, look at my videos, look at me, or whatever. But, he knows I got an account called Pork Frog, so he can get on YouTube and he can watch these videos and understand what I was going through, but he's never seen them. I know he's never seen them now because he was like having contempt for this girl. He's like, hey, just another person spilling their guts on the internet. I don't know why people do that. And he had this expression, like, kind of makes him sick, the thought of it. But I don't really care if it makes him sick or it doesn't make him sick. And yeah, I don't know why I'm awake. I know why I'm awake. It's just a lot of pain. I slept for 2 hours, and then I just woke up in a severe amount of pain and a head that hurts. I think I'm gonna drink some water and maybe some juice. Try to recharge my batteries. I got that whole mishmash of emotions in my head that's like was messing with me. That started when I was like, I'll dig out this old Arabian Nights book and I'll read out of that. So I'm trying to read that Indian book. It's like I just keep screwing it up over and over again. And sure enough, man, I was like, well, I can do this a lot better. I said, well, some of these takes I'm doing are actually usable. I just have to figure out how to pronounce a couple of these weird words in here, or how to pronounce the king's name and the name of a Arabic demon that's spelled Deggial, and it comes from the actual demon's name is Al, like Al slash Dijjal, and the guy, whoever the Andrew Lang guy, he do it into English that way. So I'm like, what's the neatest way to pronounce that? Forget accuracy. So I was like, how about Deggial? No, Dejile. Oh, I kind of like that. Dejile. Put the emphasis on the last syllable. So that's, But yeah, I'll hammer that out pretty quick. I might even put up just the first voyage just for fun. Once I get the picture thing worked out, that's what finding the pictures to put with it is the actual is as difficult as reading it. Finding a good and appropriate pictures to put in various parts so you can make a cool video. But yeah, my family's really not. I don't even know if they even know that much about CRPS. I've had it for 32 years, well, going on 33 years. And I know they're not, I know they know I don't do these videos. And I know they don't watch these, you know. And it's not that they don't care about me, it's just um, it's a self-centeredness, I guess. And, but hell, I ain't leaning on none of them. After what happened to me on December 27th on 2017, where I broke down and cried in front of one of my family members, my closest family members. You think I'm going to rely on them for emotional support? No. But you got to talk to somebody, even if it's some bald-headed guy with glasses, no shirt on, laying in bed. You know, you got to talk to somebody about your problems. You got to express them. And so yeah, these things are like my therapy sessions. And just sorting out those feelings though about my childhood and my parents and how it's all become tainted. And at one point I could like make something good out of it, like, and then it all turned to shit. And then like it just, the way it all ended and stuff, it's just kind of like ruins the rest of it, you know. I mean, I still have the memories of being a child and having some fun and having some freedom and doing some things and whatnot. Um, but yeah, it's just a lot psychologically, But what are you gonna expect? You get anybody? If I had like awesome parents that were like, and while by awesome parents, I don't mean to insult my parents, but I mean like people that were expert at being parents, that knew all about it, that had good parents themselves, and like knew all about how to raise kids and whatnot. Even under those circumstances, you got somebody 14 years old whose body starts to deteriorate. They get a spinal tumor, and then they have to get a radical spinal reconstruction surgery, and then they get CRPS. And they were there for me, They didn't abandon me, and they took care of me the best they could through all that. And then I got all that guilt because when the time came for me to return the favor due to bizarre circumstances I can't go into, I couldn't do it right the way I wanted to do it. I wanted to ease their pain or ease their suffering, and um, sort of guide them out of this world. And I couldn't do it. It just wasn't to be. I didn't see my mom until she had dementia. Barely knew who I was. And I didn't see my last time I saw him. I didn't talk to my dad for 13 years, and I didn't even speak to him directly. The last time I saw him, I indirectly called him a dog. And then, he wouldn't make eye contact with me. And it's painful because they're not emotionally well people. The problem is with people that aren't emotionally well is like if you get your foot run over in a car by a crazy person or a sane person, you're still going to have a broken foot either way. So when you're dealing with people with issues, you can feel you can rip your heart out, especially if it's your parents, and it can rip your heart out. But you know, you have to protect yourself. You get damaged, and I got that like because of my leg and because I was going through so much stuff, and I had that emotional breakdown on December 27th, 2017. Cried for the first time in front of somebody, a particular person. I picked the wrong person. Um, for the first time in 29 years, that relationship's ruined and I can't fix it. That's like what I told their husband. It's like, I can't fix it. It's like, there's nothing I can do. You know, it's like, I have to protect myself and I have to get better. And I tried. She didn't try. And it could be that this is the way she wants it. Or maybe she's just stubborn. Or maybe, like, um, she does feel remorse and regret over treating me like garbage while I was having an emotional breakdown. Or maybe she's reached the point where she is admitting to herself that that that's what she did. And but when I called her back and tried to reconcile things, she wasn't there yet. So I was like, I'm not putting myself through this anymore. So I was almost crying. I was very emotional on the phone. I don't remember if I was crying or not. I knew I was very emotional, and was actually shaking after I got off the phone with her. And I'm like, I'm not putting myself through that again, just because I've known that person my whole life, and you know, had been through so much with them. It's like I'm not letting myself get abused no more. So I wrote them a letter and just explained to them that all I want is to them to admit that what they did was a fucked up thing. And radio silence has been maintained since for almost a full year now. So maybe this is the way they want it. If I get better and I get well enough and strong enough emotionally, and I can walk, and I get well enough to where I can take more abuse, I'll go back and give it another try, and put myself in front of the firing line again. And I don't want that to be another relationship where, like with my mom and dad, where it just ends horribly. But yeah, I don't even know how to express those feelings. I don't know if anybody else has those feelings about having a childhood where it's like a mix of good and bad, and then everything just goes to hell toward the end. And then you got that thing in your head where they took care of you when you was incapacitated, and you weren't really there to take care of them when they were incapacitated and comfort them, and kind of like guide them out of this world and toward a more peaceful and easier death. And the best I could do was support the people that were doing that. I didn't disconnect from the situation completely like other people did that were part of the family. Too many truths being told here, man. You know, sometimes I just feel like telling the whole story, and letting chips fall where they may. My brother proved to me last night that they don't watch these things anyway, but it doesn't make certain people look very good. Doesn't make me look very good, but I'm of a different psychological makeup than these other people, and some of them can't handle the truth, and some of them don't want the story told for reasons of shame, and it's just a horrifically bad story, and just like an unbelievable turn of events that happened, all starting in 2003, and yeah, just I just have to. I made that choice a long time ago that like the truth is supposed to set you free, but for some people, sometimes the truth does more damage than good, and sometimes I like waking the dogs up, like I say in the other videos, but sometimes for other people it's better to let them lie, keep them asleep, and I don't know what like I don't know if I'm expressing myself well or not. I just like I said, I'm on gabapentin and 300 milligrams of gabapentin and 10 milligrams of Valium right now. And I only slept for 2 hours and woke up slightly after 2. And it's now 3:14 and I've been talking about an hour. But yeah, sorting out those feelings. Like I went to professional people with the training and the confidentiality, and they can't help me. They literally don't even try to comment on it. There's like there's nothing they can say about it. There's nothing they can do about it. They know it. The psychiatrists and psychologists and psychiatric nurses and stuff. It's like all they can do is. I caught that one lady. Her jaw dropped. When I told her some things, and it's like, man, close your mouth. You're gonna catch some flies. And I already mentioned on here, I talked to that person a couple of days ago, and I don't know how they're going to react to it, but I'm going to, they're on Social Security and they get paid on the first of the month. So, like, about the middle of the month or around the 20th, I'm going to be like, it's $60 if you give me my therapy disc back. Because this whole story that I'm always saying that I can't tell, I told under the guise of confidentiality to my therapist on a disc that I made with this computer, not with this computer, but with another computer, but it's on a disc. And I gave it to him just because I was like, they were in a lot of pain, and I wanted to show them, like, I was like, watch this. And I didn't like tell him specifically, don't let anybody else see this. This is for you, because I figured that they would know that if they watched it. But they let somebody else watch it. And they're at that somebody else's. They say that disc is at that somebody else's house, but it's been gone now for months and months. It's just been floating out there, this horrible story with all the details. So I'm going to wait until they're hard up for money and say, listen, you want to make some money? You can get me that disc back. And I pray to God nobody made any copies of it. And like I said, I joked about it. Somebody could be making a Lifetime movie screenplay out of it right now. And this is gold, man. Nobody will believe this story. This is crazy. And making some horrible tearjerker Lifetime movie out of it. Sending it to Lifetime as a script. But I'm going to offer him $60 just to get me that disc back. And I'm going to do that. Because that is the way you get things done. that you throw around the cash. And when I gave them the disc, I was just feeling really bad for them, and they were just struggling. And I was like, I wanted them to watch it, and I was like, you can live through things that you don't think you're able to live through. And here I am talking to you, and I'm calm. You may be bawling your eyes out, and you had a hard time, but I had a hard time too, a real hard time. And here's the emotional uh, taffy pool that I got put into, where it's a no-win situation either way I go. There's no choices that are good. And, here it is. And I gave it to them. And then they just don't give it back because there's just people that don't have any sense or don't. I didn't spell it out for them, but I shouldn't have had to spell it out for them. Like, give this back to me in a week. I don't remember saying anything like that or saying, like, this is for your eyes only. But they claim they let somebody else watch it. And they claim that they know where the disc is or whatever. We're going to find out in about 10 days because when that money starts getting tight and they start feeling that squeeze, I might even hear from them like, can I borrow this or can I borrow that? Or can I do some housework for some money or something like that? And I'm like, nope, but you can get me my disc back and I'll give you $60. And, they have like a weird a form of conscience about them. So, they might react badly to that, but $60 is $60 when you don't have it. They might be like, like I talked to them the other day, and they were like, I owe you $20. I'm like, you don't owe me no $20. You worked that out. You did some housework and some laundry for me, and you worked that out. And they were like, well, I would have done that for free or whatever like that. And, that's the way you get things done. When you're talking about poor people, at least people that need money, I don't know anything else about. I only know like my best friend is very well to do, as they say. He gets a cop pension. He also is still working as a security cop, and he has like something called a 401k investment plan or something that's paid into for years, and those cop pensions. And he worked as a cop for 30 years, so he's well off. So I know a couple of people that got money, but most of the people I know got nothing. So that's what it's about. But I talked on here long enough. It's another hour of your time. And yeah, my brother says doing this kind of thing is shameful. Spilling your guts on the internet to strangers. But yeah, I, he still thinks of himself as young. I called him older, and he's like, don't call me old. What are you talking about?" And I said, "No, I called you older." It's like he still hasn't come to terms with his own mortality yet, and so he doesn't understand that there's no reason to save all that. There's no reason for me not to tell my story or what I can of it. There's no reason for me not to talk to you and to tell you things or tell you how I feel or let you go through this experience with me with the many trials that I've had since March 18th. March 16th is when I got my script last year where I was like, oh shit, to cut my Xanax in half, man. I'm looking at some tolerance withdrawal. This could be pretty bad. And then I had caught. It's in my video. It's on my channel. It's in my video collection of this nonsense. But I was like, oh shit, and in the video I'm all wrapped up and holding shaking, and I got type flu. type B flu for the first time in my life, which I caught at Metro Hospital up toward Cleveland when I had my consultation over my tooth. Actually, it was over here when I had that misdiagnosed necrotic tooth. I didn't even have it pulled yet. They just looked at it and said it needed pulled, and we're going to pull it in April. And then my doctor cut my dose in March, and I got the script on the 16th, and the withdrawal didn't start until the 18th because I had a couple pills because I had tried weaning already. It was already in my head as early as January of last year to get off of Xanax. I was already thinking about getting off it, and I was already experimenting with weaning, taking half doses and stuff, and then after 3 days I would get sick, but I had a couple extra pills, so my withdrawal didn't actually start until the 18th, but the fuckery with the script, that started on the 16th. But yeah, I was like, what? I don't, not that many people watch my videos anyway, so, why not share the experience, and why not, what am I saving it for? And then when you have like a heart like mine, where I've had my heart, I've rode the lightning 5 times, I've had my heart shocked, even like on the videos from the where I put up my card and I put up links to 2013 where I'm looking all cut and healthy and stuff. I look that way because like 2 months before that I had my heart cardioverted, and I was like, well, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, and I started like working out and walking, and I was walking pretty good and walking pretty far distances and getting in shape, and then my parents died in 2015, and then the Baker cyst, or the Xanax thing, I don't know which started first, and then I lost like, I don't know, 5 teeth over that period of time. It's like just everything went to hell. The period of time, the emotional strain of like, I knew it was going to end badly with my parents. I knew I couldn't fix it, and I knew I was in a situation where there was no way to win. There was no right decision. There was nothing good that I could have done. And the stress of that, it got to me, and then those videos say 2013, and I had my heart shocked, and as I put it in the video, almost died. Like that's when I was smoking a lot of marijuana, watching a lot of pornography, and smoking a lot of cigars, and sometimes all at once. And yeah, that's when I was in the ambulance with the 203 pulse, and they were trying to convince me I had anxiety, and I was like, just hook me up to the EKG, you stupid sons of bitches, in so many words, in a nice way as possible, because I found out a long time ago, you do not insult a dentist. I insulted a dentist, and he wasn't very gentle with me. I insulted somebody once that was putting an IV in my arm, and they didn't do that too gently anyway, so I learned my lesson about insulting people that have you in a compromised position. So I didn't get, I said as kindly as possible, I know what this is, I've had it before, it's arrhythmia, it's not anxiety, I'm calm, trust me, it's just my heart is not functioning, hook me up to the EKG. But in my head I was saying, you dumb motherfuckers, just quit fucking around and hook me up to the EKG. But yeah, I admitted that I was high off my ass, smoking cigars, and jacking off to the ambulance drivers. And then my heart went out of rhythm, and I could feel it. I was like, well, time to quit doing that. So I quit smoking. And I quit smoking marijuana around 2013, and um, I don't know if that's accurate or not. My memory is foggy, but at the time, I noticed that when I quit with the smoking, I put on weight. You know, I went from like one in the 160s to the high 170s, low 180s. I thought that was weird. You know, I'm not talking about like just a gut. I'm talking about like I put on weight like everywhere, and that was strange. But I don't know exactly when I quit. Um, no, I didn't quit in 2013. I quit for a while, I think, and then I just cut back in 2013 when those videos were taken because I don't really know. You know what? I just don't really remember. I don't. I wish I could remember. I don't really remember if my parents were still alive when I quit doing that, or if it was after they died that I quit doing that. I know that I was high in an ambulance twice, and I was like, well, that's enough. You know, no more smoking. Which I'm still a tobacco addict, and I'll still smoke a couple of cigarettes if I can get them. But I don't buy anymore, and I don't smoke on my own time, and I don't smoke marijuana, and still do that other thing because I think it's unhealthy not to. It's not mentally or physically hygienic not to masturbate when you need to. So I don't give a damn about the stigmas attached to it. Um, I haven't had to worry about that much here in the last couple months because, you know, once I was fighting with getting off of the Xanax, it was like a survival situation. And in survival situations, your sex drive kind of shuts down anyway. Plus, I'm an old fucker, man. I'm 51 years old. Nobody wants to think about that, you know. But that's just part of life. If you're a dude, that's just part of life. I don't know what it's like for women, but if you're a dude, uh, the old hand to gland combat, it's just part of life, especially if you're alone. Even when you have a girlfriend, it's just part of life, you know. Some of them don't even care. I had a guy, I didn't understand this guy, but I had a guy I knew, like, he's like, oh man, she wants me to, like, jack off in front of her. So I was like, so? He's like, I couldn't do that. That's just weird. I'm like, dude, I would do that, you know, freaking heartbeat. Not necessarily with your girlfriend because I didn't like your girlfriend. But if I liked my girlfriend and she wanted me to do that, I would do that in a minute. I would put on a three ring circus for her, a three cock ring circus for her. This really got nasty really quick. But yeah, I would put on a three ring circus for her if she wanted me to. Why the hell not? You know? But that wasn't my lot in life. My lot was to be alone. Um, it's just the way things worked out, which I already explained in another video. And I know some people would be like, well, you know, you still have hope. You still have the rest of your life and stuff. And it's like, I have to be a realist, you know, with the CRPS creeping up. And I might have a few laughs to offer a woman. That's about it. But mostly, all I got to offer a woman is pain. And yeah, watching somebody die horribly and watching someone suffer and go through like awful things, like what I'm going through now, and the muscle wasting and all the other physical problems I generally don't go into just because they're gross. If you have CRPS from here down, man, you can do the math in your head yourself. So I kind of accepted the fact that I'm going to die a virgin, and that's just fine. You know, it's just the way things worked out. It's I already told the story on another video. I'm just wasting time. But I'm talking about stuff that other people maybe aren't willing to talk about. And lots of times I don't know why. Because YOLO, I'm going to be dead. You only live that once, man, and I'm going to be dead soon. And all you really have, man, which was why I was so determined to read this doggone slid behind the bed, this Indian book about Native Americans, but in that book it's written in 1982, so they refer to the character as an Indian. It's like all that guy had was his life story. And when he was dying, and I'm not saying I'm dying or anything like that, I might even make a recovery here once I get my leg fixed up. Or maybe like I've had my heart shocked 4 times in like 6 years. I mean, maybe I can keep going. And hell, you never know about these things. I'm 51 years old. Maybe I could live into my 70s. I don't expect to see 60. But you never know about these things. But the character in that book, he's dying. So he wants to tell his life story. And he's like, his need to pass on his story, because really that is all you have in this life, is how you've affected other people and your story, what you did, what you didn't do, the lives you affected. That's all you have, man. You could say, well, you got this computer right now you're talking on, and you got this and you got that, but when push comes to shove, and the guy with the sickle and the black hood standing over top of you, you don't have this. You don't possess nothing. You know you don't this idea of possessions. That's all going to somebody else. The only thing you have that's really of any value is your story, and what you did and what you didn't do, the lives you affected, the things you could have done, the things that you did. I mean, I've done many good things in my life and been nice and kind to people, and other times I haven't. And it's all part of a fabric. The thing that's hard for me is I had my heart blasted on the 5th of December, January, February, so you're talking just 2 months ago. And it just kills me that I can't tell my whole story like I told my story. That's to my therapist that's floating out in space, and I'm going to pay $60 to get back. I can't tell that for the sake of other people and how it'll affect them. And yeah, and maybe I'm doing it wrong right now. It's like maybe the truth would do the people in question good. But I don't, I'm not willing to make that call. Sometimes people have to slowly realize things, and they have to come to the truth at their own speed, at their own pace. And it's jarring to hear it all spelled out at once, and they can't take it. And maybe that's why they haven't had a relationship with that one person since for over a year now. It's because they couldn't handle the truth. They couldn't handle that, what's happening to me. I remember, I think I might have told this story before, but I was waiting for a diagnosis on rheumatoid arthritis. They didn't know I had a Baker's cyst. They just knew I had a swollen up knee, and they were like, normal arthritis, it doesn't onset like that, but rheumatoid arthritis might. So I was getting tested for it, and I was literally talking to them on the phone, like waiting for the doctor, with in-call waiting, to call and give me the results of the test. And I wasn't as optimistic as they wanted me to be. My strategy was, I have rheumatoid arthritis. I'm just like, I'm accepting it already, because that way, and I was terrified of rheumatoid arthritis because I've seen an uncle go, have to deal with it. And it's so crippling. And so I was like, that way, if they tell me I have it, I'm prepared for it. And if they tell me I don't have it, it'll give me a big emotional lift. This is my thinking behind what I'm saying to this person on the phone, but it's not what I'm actually saying. I'm just saying, I really think I do have, and they were like, well, just because something runs in the family, and they were wanting to be optimistic because they couldn't handle the idea, perhaps, of me having that, or that happening to me. And then I said stuff they didn't like, just, nothing about them. I was just talking about my own situation. And they hung the phone up on me. And I'm making the old hang up gesture, like in the old days with the cords and the rotary phones, when they would say they hang the phone up, you literally hung it up. And you hit these two little buttons that in the old days when I was a kid with the rotary phones, that's where the hang up expression. Now the expression should be, I pushed the button on you because I was tired of listening to your talk. But she hung up on me when I'm needing support because I got a diagnosis coming in for whether I have rheumatoid arthritis or not. And then I called her back and I was like, did you hang up on me? And she goes, yeah, I did. You weren't letting me talk. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, this really isn't about you. I explained that to her later. It's like, that's really not about you. You know, it's like, you gotta let me deal with things. I'm the one that's gonna have rheumatoid arthritis if the diagnosis come back positive, not you. I'm the one that's gonna have. I'm the one that's in the situation. I'm the one that's dealing with it, not you. And I explained this to her. I was like, not you. I'm the one that has to deal with this. You gotta let me deal with it the way I want to deal with it, not you. You wanted me to deal with it the way you wanted to. You wanted to, like it was you going through it. Like, I'm the one that's going through it. It's like you want me to be optimistic about a situation that I'm in. It's like, you're not the one that's waiting for the diagnosis. You're not the one that's got the swollen up, hideous leg. You're not the one that's going through it. But you wanted me to deal with it your way, you know. And she accepted that as the truth, and we got past it because she accepted that that was the truth. And she admitted that that's not a cool thing to do, to hang up the phone or to push the button on somebody. The expression should be push the button, not hang up. I think it's still a hang up on somebody. But she pushed the button on me just because she got frustrated because I was dealing with it the way I was dealing with it, which is more or less to accept that the universe was just going to take another giant crap on me. But it turned out that it was a small crap. It wasn't a giant crap because it wasn't rheumatoid arthritis. It was a Baker's cyst, which I still have. I mean, this incident happened at least a year and a half ago. This is before the final crushing blow where I had the breakdown. We got past this because she just was like, she admitted that, you know, yeah, that's what I was doing. She admitted that I was right. She didn't apologize or anything, I don't think. But she was like, okay. And then, we worked past it and we talked some more, continued our relationship. But then when I had the breakdown and she was cruel to me, I couldn't, I could, like I said, it made me understand that impulse to murder. I was so filled with anger and resentment and hatred because I hadn't cried on her shoulder for like 29 years, and during those 3 decades, she had cried on mine repeatedly. So, yeah, I feel very incoherent right now, and I'm approaching the hour and a half mark. part of this is the drugs and the truth serum, I think, mixture of gabapentin and Valium. But yeah, it's just the kind of stuff, man, you don't need when you're going through a benzo withdrawal. It's like emotional bullshit from loved ones. It's exactly what the opposite of what you need. You need love and support. You need people to recognize that you got a bad thing going on and you're in a bad situation and you're like a walking human figure of napalm just waiting for a match. You're that edgy and that miserable. And they gotta treat you nice. And when they do the opposite of treat you nice, and they push the button on you when you're waiting for a diagnosis to see if your life is ruined. And and when you break down finally, and they're like scornful to you and mean to you, when you're at your most vulnerable, when you 3 weeks before you listened to them crying, I looked at the phone and the phone said 88 minutes, and I just was doing a 10-minute checkup phone call and ended up listening to getting my guts all churned up and being all empathetic and listening patiently. I looked at the phone when it was over and it said 88 minutes that we have been talking. Then 3 weeks later, I can't get 15 minutes out of them. When I'm having a breakdown, I can't get support. I can't get, I can't get what I need. I hear somebody stomping above me. Maybe my loud ass voice is waking them up, and they're wondering who this crazy motherfucker's always babbling to himself. But yeah, you don't need that. And that was January 27th of 2017. No, excuse me, that was December 27th. It was 2 days after Christmas. In 2017. So it would be 12/27/17 that happened. I ended up in a psych unit in the middle of January, about a month later. And then after I was in the psych unit, I went through some 48 hours, at least, cold turkey withdrawal, because of my doctor just didn't fill my prescription. And I was like, that's when I was like, I'm done, nobody's doing this to me ever again. It's like, I'm done. I'm quitting Xanax. If somebody can actually do that just out of like incompetence, negligence, inter-office miscommunication, or whatever the hell was going on, somebody can actually plunge me into that kind of hell just from, a signature away from hell. Title to another video I made. I'm done. I was like, I don't want to take this no more. And that was in January. But I said, man, I got this freaking tooth. I got to get this taken care of first. And then in February, I started experimenting with taking less. And I was like, wow, this taking less stuff, it has consequences. But I got a few pills ahead. And then when I got my script halved, and I looked at my script in the elevator, and we had no conversation. Because the way it works for that guy is I would call in and say, I need a refill, and they say your refill's ready, and you go in and get your paper and you walk out. So I got my prescription and I'm looking at it. Instead of 60 pills, it says 30 pills. And I had an oral surgery scheduled, like, I think the 15th. And it was like right toward the end of my prescription cycle. And I'm like, how in the fuck am I going to get through this month? And how am I going to have extra pills that I need to go through this oral surgery, which is going to be horrifyingly stressful for me? And so it's like, my plan was to wait, get that damn necrotic tooth out of my head, and then start on the withdrawal, and then like start quitting, trying to figure out how to get this done. And then I learned so many things through this experience. I learned that doctors A lot of them, they don't give a fuck about your suffering, and they don't even tell you. They just cut your dose without saying anything about it, without any discussion, like it's no big deal. Then the guy tells me we usually drop people off faster than that. I'm like, faster than 50%? You know? In other words, here's a bottle, do your best. You know? They tend to treat everyone the same as far as like benzos, and there's people that have worse reactions to it than I did. There's people that have better reactions to it than I do. Everyone's an individual. But I was trying to go chronologically through it, and so I don't know why I'm doing this. I apologize, but I get the 50% reduction, and I somehow managed to cut my dose 75% before I go and get the oral surgery, and so I can have a stockpile of pills. And then I'm taking pills when I'm in this hospital near Cleveland, not Cleveland Clinic, but the Metro something. Um, and I get my tooth finally taken care of, and they don't give me any good pain medication. I forget what they gave me Motrin. They gave me like stuff you can buy over the counter, and it hurt really bad, and so I was taking more Xanax. I didn't just take more the day of the surgery, and then I kindled myself, and I found out about that you can kindle yourself while you're actually still taking the stuff, just by dropping your dose down and then bringing your dose back up. And I'm like, well, now I'm kindled. So when I tried to break it down, like I did that video where I woke up in the morning and I was like, what a difference waking up in the morning Xanax free as opposed to, and then I started waking up after, this would be in early May, and I would be like, I just want to die. I just want someone to kill me right now. Because I felt so bad and so sick. And then like I struggled through May, which was a horrible month. And then June I started kicking ass, and I only took 14, no, I took 7 milligrams to get me through the whole of June. But then the meth trade opened up in here, and the landlord was doing nothing about it and didn't care because the apartment was being paid. And I told all that story before about the guy who was actually a B&E artist and an addict, and he was bringing a bunch of scum around here, and they saw an opportunity because there was an abandoned house across the street, and they turned it into a meth cookhouse, and they started cooking meth across the street and selling it out of my building. And this was happening in June, but I didn't exactly understand what was happening. I thought it was heroin. But even still, in June, I took 7 milligrams to get me through the whole of June. So I was pretty close to kicking, even with just like buying little tiny amounts of volume off of the street. When what you need when you're on Xanax or Klonopin is a steady supply of volume, because it's got the longer half-life, and then it's easier to drop off of. You switch from one benzo to this other benzo that's much weaker to help you deal with the symptoms, and then you can drop off of the volume much easier than you can do off of the heavy hitters, the Babe Ruths, the Klonopins, and the Xanax. And I guess Ativan is really bad for some people. But yeah, it didn't work out that way. And then I was getting involved with police and dealing with a meth situation in an actual meth business going from across the street. And I don't even give a damn right now. I'm going to give you the numbers. I'm 625, and the house is across the street is 630. And I can hit with a rock from my porch, and it's a meth cookhouse, and they're cooking the shit in that house, and they're selling it out of this apartment, which means I got meth heads coming and going, and high people coming and going all hours of the night. And I'm not getting much sleep. So I get involved in it. I confront them with a machete. I get death threats. I'm dealing with police. I'm making complaints about drug buys. July 6th, every cop in this whole damn city was on the street. There was cops running down the street with their guns drawn. And they did a raid on that cookhouse and they shut it down. And then the guy that was living upstairs, my landlord was trying to convince me that he was a nice guy. And he was more or less probably the kingpin. And he was so quiet after the police raided that house. And that's the only time he locked the front door, is when that police raid happened. Because we have like a front door, lobby door. And then you go in there, walk into a foyer area. And then there's the apartment doors. So that's the only time he ever locked that front door, is when the cops were out there raiding the place. And then he was so quiet up there, I didn't even know he was up there. But he laid low for a couple of days, and then he just got the hell out of Dodge. And he actually called my landlord and said, you know what, there's just too much drama around here. He said, I'm not gonna be staying here. And my landlord really didn't care, because the apartment was being paid regardless. It was being paid under a guy's name who was in jail for breaking and entering into a church. You know, and I'm going through all this stuff while I'm trying to get off of Xanax. And, you know, it's all documented on here. I'm just going through repeats for any of my limited fan base. But yeah, I'm going through all this bullshit, you know, and then it turns out that they're going to squat. You know, even though that the meth cookhouse got shut down and raided on the 6th of July, that the leftover scumbags are going to squat in that apartment upstairs above me. And so I had squatters here, did not pay one thin dime worth of rent. And me and this other dude in a wheelchair, we figured out that we paid for this place 2 times over. If you looked up this building, this huge, gigantic building, because of the way the economy was, and the person that inherited the house lived in North Carolina, and they just wanted to get rid of it. It was just something that they could make a profit off of to them. They were probably rich. And so they were just like, set it at auction, get whatever you can for it. So this place is like 2750, 2,750 square feet. It's gigantic. And it sold for $30,800. This building sold for. And me and this other guy figured out that we paid about $72,000 in rent since we've been living in here. We found out we weren't allowed to lock our own front door because of somebody squatting up there that paid not one thin dime to live here. So then I started confronting the squatters, and then it got pretty weird. And you know, I had death threats, and I had people. I was sleeping like 40 feet away from people that hated my guts. All the while, mind you, I'm trying to take less Xanax. And of course, from July I updosed. From August I updosed a little. Then once I got to October, and the funny part is, like, I held my shit together through all of that until August 31st was the day that they got evicted, and it was finally over. But then I don't remember exactly what happened in October, but the stress of all that stuff that I went through from March 18th with the oral surgeries and the machetes and the police and the meth and being involved and having them people know that I'm the one that's calling the police on them and getting death threats, and, you know, having people hate you, and actually waking up one morning and drinking a cup of coffee and being threatened before you're even awake. Before you pour your cup of coffee and you set it on the stand and you open the window to let some air in, and somebody looks in at the window at you and says, if I was you, I'd change my motherfucking last name. And I'm like, what? I got threatened before I even got to drink my morning coffee by some leftover meth head that they knew that I was integral in shutting down the meth business around here. You know, the cops, they closed down the cookhouse, but the people that were still up there, they were still using, and you could still get stuff off them. But I was, I had a cop threaten them, and they were like scared of this guy, and I was scared of this guy, and he was on my side. And so the guy kept coming here. He came here like twice, just walking around the neighborhood, 6 o'clock in the morning, up all night, a ghoul. And he's knocked on the door the first time and got no answer, and came back and knocked on the door the second time, and they told him they had nothing for him, and then he threatened me through the window before I was even while I was lifting my cup up to take my first sip of my morning coffee. The guy is telling me I should change my motherfucking last name through the window. That's how insane it got around here. And I would see, like I said, I told all the stuff before, but I would see like a beautiful red-haired girl that come in here, and she come in here walking with a pink baseball bat one morning, like 7 o'clock in the morning. And meth doesn't help you sleep apparently, so I'd wake up, or sometimes not go to sleep at all, just because I was afraid of getting my place getting broken into. And there would just be people walking around outside, just like pacing around. It was just utter madness. But anyways, when I got to October, and then I just fell off the table. And I know this is all repeats for people, but at this point I can't help myself. But 7 milligrams worth of Xanax in June. By the time I got to October, I would taken 50 and 1/2 milligram pills. So that is over 3 times what I was taking in June. So the bottom kind of fell out for me. And then in November, I think I took 38 pills. So I dropped my dose in November. And I think it was December 3rd when I got my first script for Valium, which I should have had 8 months before, but I just did not trust my doctor to even talk to him about it. And I didn't know where to turn. And then I, sounded this guy out about it, and he was like willing to help me out and willing to use the Ashton method and prescribe me Valium. And I bought Valium off the street maybe 4 or 5 times, but you can only get like little bits of it at a time, 10, 15, 5 milligram pills. So it helps you out, and then you run out, and then it's just as bad as it was before. And so yeah, December 3rd is when I got my script, and then December 5th, I wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning, just like I did a minute ago, and was in full arrhythmia and had to go to the hospital, and never even got to cash in my script. And then that's when I did hear that water running. That's when I did that foolishness where I thought I could get away with like getting another 60 Xanax off of my doctor and get the 120 Valium, which I did successfully, but my doctor found out about it, and he had his receptionist call me and said, like, we see in the records here that you're now taking, you filled a prescription for Valium, and you're not taking Valium, and why? And I'm like, well, I'm taking it to wean myself off. They're like, they're so ignorant. They were to wean yourself off of what? That's how knowledgeable that place was about benzo. So it's like, no, I'm weaning myself off of the. I'm weaning myself off of the Valium by getting the 60 Xanax. That's how I'm gonna wean myself off of benzos. So she actually asked me that question. It's like, you're weaning yourself off of what? She just told me that they knew that I had a script for Xanax and I had a script for Valium at the same time. She's like, you're weaning yourself off of what? And I just wanted to, I don't know. That stuff doesn't even make me angry. It's just because it's the absurdity of it. It just kind of makes me laugh. I mean, the stupidity of it all. And if it was handled, why they don't know how to handle this stuff properly, but if this was all handled properly, and I had a doctor, and I was like, I was messed up in the head because I was going through a 50% tolerance withdrawal, and people were telling me, go find another doctor, and I was like, yeah, I can barely get out of bed. It's like, I don't, and my insurance, you know, it's kind of hard to find another doctor sometimes. And I got to worry about transportation getting there and all this stuff, but mostly I just couldn't even get out of bed. And that's when it would have been nice to have a helpmate or a roommate or somebody looking out for me or somebody that gave a damn that could be like, I can help you with this. And I didn't have anybody to help me. So, um, it wasn't like my doctor was going to give me Valium. And I was afraid to ask him. I was afraid to even talk to him about the benzo stuff. And I've related stories about that before where he was like, I was complaining about depersonalization at 30 pills. And he was like, well, we could like double your dosage and I could write you a script today. And I'm like, no, no, I don't want that. I'm trying to get off of this. I'm trying to wean myself off of it. He was like, okay. And I went in there about my knee, and he shot up my knee with cortisone when I had a Baker cyst, which does nothing, because he thought I just had inflammation from CRPS. But by the time he went and got the needle to shoot me up with and came back, I was like, you know what? I was like, I already told him I didn't want the 60 pills, but I was like, I could get a prescription for 30 today from you. And I said, I'm due in a week to get a new prescription. And he just totally went Jekyll and Hyde on me and was like, no, no, I want you to just finish what you have and then call me when you have a couple pills left. So I went from 60 to 0 instead of 0 to 60. The dude was going to write 60 for me. And then he wrote nothing for me that day. And I was like, that's the kind of guy that I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with Dr. Wacky Pants. I'm dealing with a nutbag. It's like, this is the guy that's managing my Xanax. And at one time he was like, pain management's managing your Alprazolam, right? I'm like, no, you are. It's like, it was terrifying. I was afraid to go see the guy, so I wasn't going to ask him for help. As far as Valium, the best I did with that is I handed him a piece of the Ashton manual, and I was like, he's like, I've never heard of Heather Ashton. I don't know who that is. And he took it off of me, took a glance at it, and handed it back to me like it was nothing. Like I was showing him a picture of my family or something, you know. And the next time I went in there, he was totally different. And he was like, I'll never drop you off the stuff completely. So you don't have to worry about that, because I said directly to him, I said, listen, we both know I have anxiety, and people that have anxiety are worried about what's going to happen next. And that's all I want to know is, what is the plan here? And that got through to his thick skull, and he was like, you don't ever have to worry about me dropping you off of Xanax completely. And he had told me like months before that we drop people off usually faster than a 50% reduction. So, this guy had my head spinning like a blender. And I was not going to ask him for Valium, because I figured he'd be like, oh, this guy just wants more drugs. He's like, he's liable to just drop me off of Xanax, and then I'd be totally screwed and just be laying in bed with the shakes, hoping I don't go into a seizure or something. So, yeah, it's just been utter madness. And it's coming to a close, though, because the Xanax part of it's over for me. I'm just dealing with Valium, and actually taking more of it now than I have been. But that's only because I went through that EMG thing with my leg, and I had a cold. And I was like, I'm not stressing my body any more than necessary. So, we'll see what it's like now. With Xanax, if I would have done that with Xanax and took more Xanax, like 2 to 3 times more Xanax over a week period, and then dropped it down, I would be so miserable. So um, we're going to see what that's like now with volume, and I'll record that for you. And like I said, I'm going to leave this up here. And I'm not embarrassed about the length of the video or the stuff that I talk about in it. It's like I want it to be, I want my suffering to mean something. I want it to have some kind of meaning. And that's all. It's like if somebody else can watch it, or maybe people that have been watching it, I don't know. Uh, how can anybody watch these long videos and all of them? I assume that they just check in and check out. But that if I've, watching me struggle going through this has been helpful to one person, two persons, three persons, just, you know, that's good. And like, it'll be a document that's on there. And then I'll come back on here when I'm clean, and hopefully with a knee that works where I can walk around and get out of this nut house, get away from what's upstairs and what's over there, and be back to myself and be able to walk and lift weights like I like to do. And have my nerves back, because that's what benzos do, is they take away all your patience, and they take away all your peace of mind, and they leave you just like a raw walking human napalm in the guise of a human, just waiting to explode. You're just that edgy. Everything's a match to you. You're just waiting to explode. And anything can drive you bananas. I mean, when I found out that I had this living above me, which is when I had the Stamposaurus living above me, I actually one day was just holding my head and rocking back and forth, saying, "How am I going to do this? How am I going to?" This was in October when I was updosed like crazy. I was like, "How am I going to make it through this winter? I can't listen to this every day." And I bought those Shooters earplugs, which I actually show in a video, and that are very effective. But the regular earplugs, the foam ones, they didn't do anything. So I bought the Shooters earplugs for firing ranges, and I'll put those in, and I haven't needed to use those. I broke those out like 3 days ago, but I haven't needed to use those for a while, so I got acclimated to it. But yeah, no, this shame stuff, yeah, this is 153 minutes, and it's ridiculous, but at the same time, it's all part of the process, and we'll see if I become like a YouTube addict or like a narcissist after I'm off of here. And not after I'm off of here, but after I'm healthy and clean and can do other things, then we'll find out if I'm one of those people that like walk down the street with their phone and gibber about nothing. And like, just like, like seeing themselves on camera and like pretending like they're a movie star and making Hollywood length movies like this one. We'll see if I'm like that or not. I don't really think I'm going to be like that. Um, but yeah, you won't be. I really, this time I found a book that I think I can actually read. So I'm going to be working on that. So I don't think you're going to see me for a while. There's not going to be no 2-hour videos of me on here. Talking about trying to talk about my life and my life story and my angst and the way that I was taken care of when I was incapacitated, and then I couldn't do that for my parents, and couldn't usher my parents out of this world with any kind of peace of mind, and just how gut-wrenching and emotionally devastating that was, and how I tried to express that here and failed miserably because I can't give you if you could get the details, you'd understand. Those details are on that disc I'm going to pay $60 for later on. But anyways, I'm banning myself from doing this sort of thing until I finish uh, my 7 Voyages of Sinbad, I'm going to put the Native American book on hold since it seems to be much more difficult for me to read successfully. And this is also shorter. I mean, the finished product should be like an hour and a half to 2 hours. And well, I'm going to finish that. And I'll have fun trying to find pictures to put over top of the video, and I'll have a nice little project to do. And it's a lot better than what I have been doing, which is I have been blowing a lot of money on Cleveland Browns sports cards because I got this scheme. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you the scheme, and I'm going to tell you the secret. But the Browns have this guy that was considered a first round bust, but he tested speed wise, fast, if you know football, faster than Randy Moss, faster than Deion Sanders. He ran a 40 under 420 at a college demonstration. Now, when the NFL combine came up, he pulled a hamstring, so he couldn't demonstrate that kind of speed in the NFL combine. But because of he demonstrated it in college that he was like crazy fast, faster than Randy Moss, faster than Deion Sanders. Ran a 40 under 420 a couple of times. And so this dude got hurt in his rookie year and did not play at all. And the guy that supported him through his injuries died. His best friend on the team died in a dirt bike accident. So he went through that emotional devastation. Then his father was named Brett Perryman. He played for, I think, the Houston Oilers. I think. But anyways, his dad played NFL football, and his dad had a stroke during this period of time. So, this guy went through losing his rookie season, losing his best friend, and having his dad go through a stroke. And then being treated mercilessly by the Baltimore Ravens fans because of drops that turned into interceptions. So he had a reputation as a guy who would drop the ball. But anyways, so they cut him. He tried to make it with 2 other teams. One of the teams was the Washington Redskins. And the Washington Redskins, they didn't like him, and they cut him. And then the Cleveland Browns had a bunch of injuries to their wide receivers. And they picked him up after the 6th game. And he's, in 10 games, he averaged 21 yards of reception, which is crazy. And this is how many balls he dropped. 0. He only caught 16 catches. Mind you, 16 catches for over 300 yards and 21 yards a crack. But this is what I've been doing. Is I've been blowing all my money on this scheme that I got because I used to be a card dealer back in the day. And like people make the mistake where a guy gets hot, like a Baker Mayfield guy, and then they like buy his cards. It's like, no. You buy a card off of what the guy is going to do, because that's what it's all about. It's about potential to make money. So I can get this guy's autographed rookie cards for between $5 and $10. You cannot touch a Baker Mayfield rookie for under $150. So I just been stockpiling all these Rashad Perryman cards. And the one guy, eBay has changed. The one guy just decided, no, I'm not selling you a autograph jersey rookie card for $8. It's just not happening. So apparently you're just allowed to like back out of a deal on eBay now, which I haven't used eBay forever for the purposes of buying and selling sports cards. I just got out of it because it was too time consuming. But yeah, I've been blowing my money on that, and then that is far too expensive a hobby because even like buying cards between $5 and $10 a crack like that, that shit adds up. Now, all this guy has to do, and he's a big dude, and he's still, he's had injuries to his knees, but I think he can still run a 430, and he's big. He's like 220, like 6'2", and he's a big physical dude. And he made some spectacular catches for the Browns out of them 16 catches. But you talk to people even in this area, and they don't know who he is. They don't know who he is. But I checked into his past and how tragic the beginning of his career was. And there was a reason why he went 26th overall on the draft, and there was a reason for that. Is that guy could flat out fly. And now he's got this super accurate hot shot quarterback, and he hasn't signed with the Browns yet. So I'm taking a $300 chance buying all these cards, at least $300. And but I feel that I just you have to do the research. Is one of the reasons why I got out of the whole thing. Is you have to do the research and you have to put in the time, just like these videos. And it's just too much damn time to be putting into anything. I have it's you can make money doing that, but you have to put in the research and you have to do the time. But I just happened to look into this guy's history, and I'm like, and I watched him play this year because he only played 10 games for the Browns. They picked him up merely because their wide receiver core was just decimated with injuries. And so I watched him this year because I watch every game, and I'm like, yeah, this guy is a dangerous downfield receiver. I mean, I don't know what he can do yet as far as like tackle breaking, but he's a big dude. I don't know what kind of routes he can run, But right now, because he isn't signed with the Browns yet, they're in negotiations. And that's the only team he's had success with is the Browns. So I know that he wants to play with the Browns. He actually called joining the Browns a blessing because he's like, using his religious faith to get through, his dad having the stroke and his best friend dying and, being treated like crap in Baltimore and then losing his whole rookie season and going through all these things. This is like his second chance. So I think he's going to be very motivated to stay here. So that's my get rich quick scheme. All he has to do is have like the Browns make the playoffs and him to be a central part of that team, and I can sell those cards for 10 times what I paid for them, minimum. Just like in 1 year. If I want to hold on to some of them just to see if he does even better and his name gets big, but and he gets hot among the collecting community, you're talking about cards that I bought for $5 that I can sell for $100. You're talking about big money. I don't know how many of those I have. I maybe 20 to 25 of them already that are like autographed rookie cards. Some of them with they have like little jersey patches in them and stuff that people love. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. But the problem is that I am not a wealthy man. I can't be just like, and that shit adds up. That nickel and dime stuff, when you're playing between $5 and $10 for cards and you're buying shitloads of them. And I'm buying other cards besides the Pyramid cards that are Browns cards. Just because I need something to look forward to because of my knee. I also bought that bass guitar and turned it into a left-hander and put it in the basement of my friend's house. And, I've always had the dream of like just playing music with somebody. Never got to fulfill that dream. And I'm not giving up on it yet. I'll play bass if I have to for somebody. I won't play guitar. So, but walking down them steps is like walking down Mount Kilimanjaro for me, and walking down Everest. So, that's another thing for me to look forward to. Is like if I can get this knee taken care of, and then I can look forward to the Brown season next year, and see if this whole scheme that I got worked out will make me a bunch of money, or or that gamble might not pay off. The guy might hurt himself bad in the first game of the season. You never know. And then I can find out if my knee can get fixed. I can go down in the basement and boom, 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 play bass. And yeah, I should get in touch with my guitar player guy pretty soon. But I can't, those steps are just, it's really dangerous for me to walk down them steps right now. It's really hard with my knee being like it is. But yeah, I'm doing these things to try to give me something to look forward to, because I am human and this has been a horrible trial for me this last almost a year. And so I'm trying to figure out ways to have something to look forward to. You got to have something to look forward to, especially when you get older, especially when you had your heart shot 5 times, and especially when you're like, howdy there, Grim Reaper, my constant companion over here. Because you never know when that heart is just going to decide to screw up, and that's just going to be it once you have that heart trouble. And these people that I know that smoke like chimneys, that's all I can think about. It's like, well, one of them suffering through it already, where they know. They live in terror every second, same as me. Every second they don't know if their heart's gonna blow up on them and kill them. And mine has less to do with smoking and my smoking history than the CRPS getting worse and creeping further and further up. I had the rib taken out like right here, and the symptoms seem to be getting higher up as far as the sensitivity in your heart. My heart anyway is right there. And I feel like that's what shit, man. I had arrhythmia when I was 36 and in tip top physical condition. And so I think it's just the CRPS. So I feel like I'm walking hand in hand with the Grim Reaper, like every second of every day. So I don't care about making no video over 2 hours. And I don't care how that makes me look. And I don't care what my brother thinks about it. Whether, like, he would be scornful of just another person spilling their guts on the internet. He wants to see that. Like he said last night. Even over this beautiful girl, I was like, I'll send you a link to her, man. She don't even know what she's doing. And she's a beautiful red-haired girl that's screwing around, taking too much diphenhydramine, and wow, talking about how it screwed up her life or whatever, and and I'm not gonna laugh about it, but I took diphenhydramine as a sleeping pill for years. I don't know what effect it had on me. I wasn't taking it to get high. I was taking it to go to sleep because of the pain that I was in. And I looked, there was, at the time, there was only 2 sleep aids that you could get over the counter. And one of them began with an H and I couldn't pronounce. And the other one was diphenhydramine. And every sleep product had the same crap in it at the time. And I'm like, so I was just stuck with the diphenhydramine over the one that began with the H. That was all that was available, but she was abusing it and trying to use it, I guess, like cough syrup or something, where you just take massive amounts of it to get you high or whatever. And yeah, I talked about it and I said, man, you should check this out. This girl, like, she's talking about diphenhydramine like it's heroin. And she was just some cute girl. I was like, man, if I had to sit next to her in high school, I would never get anything done. But anyways, when you're old, like, you can always look. That's the problem. It's like those young girls, they still look really, really good to you. I had a person that lived here named Sarah, and I got like a thing for the tall women. And she was, man, she was at least as tall as me. When I met her, she knocked on my door and I met her like face to face. I was like just blown away because she was beautiful and really, really tall, really quiet. I never really had any conversations with her. And they didn't stay here for very long. And her boyfriend, I always wanted to ask her boyfriend, like, how in the hell did you manage that? Because it seemed like she could do so much better to me than him. I just want to know, like, how did you get her? How did this happen? Of course, I never asked that. But I talked to him more than I talked to her. But anyways, those young girls, they always still look good to you. You know, I'm 51, decrepit, but I see a 20-year-old girl walking down the street, and I'm gonna look. And that never changes. I don't think. I guess the older I get, it'll be more wistful and less lustful. It'll be more like, ah, my, that takes me back. You know. Anyways, I think that's enough gabbling and chattering. And I can't think of the funny word for a person's mouth. I keep wanting to say ocular orifice, but ocular refers to the eye, so I don't know. I can't think of it. I've hit that roadblock several times in these videos. But yeah, if you watch this whole thing, you're probably a benzo person that needed to kill some time. And yeah, I don't expect anybody to, hang with me for 2.5 hours. Man, there's lots of good movies and there's lots of good shows on Netflix where there's stuff happening all around, and there's stories and there's drama. And a lot of this is just a rerun anyway. Me rerunning the last year of my life and how everything seemed to be lined up against me. And it still seems that way until I can get that knee taken care of and be able to walk around. How I finally got them squatters out of here, and then I get Stampalicious moves in above me. I'm hearing boom, 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 boom. And then they have a kid now that's been hanging around there, so I hear boom, 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 kid running around back and forth up there. And really, it's just me stuck in the house because I can't trust my knee. It's hard for me to walk to the refrigerator and walk to the bathroom, and it's painful, and it feels like every step I could go down and fall. And because I got one leg I can't trust, and then I got the other leg that's got the Baker cyst, and I can't trust it either. So every step's a damn adventure. But yeah, again, that's just enough chatter. Uh, I don't know why. Um, yeah, I do know why I do these things. It's therapeutic. It's my therapy. And you know, and someday you won't have to put up with me doing 2-hour videos or hour-long videos. This absurdity. Someday this will all be over. And if not the knee thing, I will be off the benzos and my nerves will be back. I'm assuming at some point I will be able to pursue my hobbies of guitar playing, reading, and writing, and making audiobooks, which, like I said, due to the extreme embarrassing length of this thing, and I mean this is the last time you're going to see me, but you're going to hear me. The last time you're going to see me for a while, but you're going to hear me because I'm going to work on this book until I get it done, however long it takes. And I'll try not to be too crazy about sorting through all these pictures. That's the part that's really time consuming, is sorting through all these pictures and matching them up to various points of the story and trying to make a little like a slideshow movie, so you'll have something to look at while you're listening to me read the 7 Voyages of Sinbad. And should be, it's supposed to be fun, but like I was talking to my brother and he's like, yeah, you're just like a perfectionist, listen to this guy. And he played me this guy over the phone, and the guy like would mispronounce words and go back and pronounce them again. I'd be like, I don't ever do that. I would never make something of that quality and leave it up. And he said, you don't even get it. He said, this guy starts picking up dogs barking with this microphone. He starts yelling at the dogs and says the goddamn neighbors, you don't understand. These dogs are always barking, like taking you completely out of the story. I'm going to try not to be a perfectionist and make sure that I enunciate every word clearly, and but I got a little bit more pride than that. I'm not going to mispronounce a word and then just go back and try to fix it, or screw up a sentence and go back and fix it and keep going. I'm going to like take 35, however long it takes to get it right. But yeah, this is the last you'll see of me for a good while. This 2 hour and 15 minutes nonsense of me waking up at 2 in the morning, and knock on wood, that heart, I didn't wake up this time because my heart's out of rhythm. I just woke up because I hurt and my legs hurt, and that's the only reason why I'm awake and drugged. So this is it though. So yeah, you won't see me for until I complete this. I'm going to work on this book. I'll work on that book. Not the whole book, just the Adventures of Sinbad the Sailor, and then, which are hilarious, and then put that up. No more of this chitter chatter of just me uh, being me for a good while, because I'm even sick of myself. I'm kind of like trapped in that prison of flesh with nothing to do. This is a guy trapped in a prison right now, just rattling this cup along the bars of that prison in the form of verbiage. That's all this is, because I can't really walk. I can't really move around, and I don't seem to have the nerves, and my voice is shot, so I can't work on the book. I've just been practicing reading it with a shot voice, and yeah. So yeah, if you watch this whole thing, I assume that you're going through uh, benzo withdrawal and just needed some company and needed somebody with a calm, relaxing voice with the ASMR effect, whatever the hell that stands for. I don't even know. But yeah, I'm going to use this to try to go back to sleep, because I'm going to like rewind this and listen to my boring ass, and drink some juice and get some chamomile tea with some kava in it. You ever try that kava? It's supposed to have like a mild, I wouldn't say narcotic effect, but it has a calming effect. You mix it with chamomile. It tastes like bong water, but if you can tolerate it, it chamomile and kava tea together, it seems like it does have a relaxing effect upon the body. So I'm going to count on drinking that tea and listening to this boring 200 million miles long video to go to sleep. So maybe that's a purpose I could serve for people. It'd be a boring human sleeping pill, because that's what purpose I serve for myself. Sometimes I can be clever, sometimes I can be boring, sometimes I'm redundant, sometimes you probably are just like, I've had enough of this asshole, and click off, and I can accept all of that. But man, I am an excellent sleeping pill. And when we're getting close, because we're in February now, so spring training should start. I think it starts pretty soon. And I think the baseball season, if I remember correctly, starts in April. So in April, that's my sleeping pill. Because I like baseball, but there ain't no getting around the fact that it's slow and it can be very boring. So I can watch it on the computer and just go to sleep to baseball. which this year I bought TV, so I was like, I can't justify having the baseball games on the TV in the other room, and I wasn't going to pay for another receiver, and I wasn't going to pay for it on the computer, even if I had the money. I was like, that just doesn't make any sense. I'm paying such and such for Dish TV where I got the games in there, and then I'm going to pay $89 or $100 for an MLB subscription on the computer. And so just so I can have the games in here, or pay for an extra receiver and a TV to put in my bedroom, or I don't know if I can move that. That TV is probably impossible to set up in here in this tiny room because it's a 50-inch TV. But I will tell you one more funny thing. Since it doesn't matter, we're already bordering on 2.5 hours. We're already bordering on Goodfellas length here. But my brother told me that these people put out this TV because he lives in a rich neighborhood, and he's always getting good shit, man. That's how I got my treadmill for $30. Because people just upgrade, rich people, they just upgrade and throw out stuff that still works or that's still good, like good furniture and a good treadmill that I got for $30 at the yard sale. And so he was like, they got this TV, but he did not explain to me that this 32-inch TV was a box TV and weighed a billion pounds. I mean, you needed two strong guys to carry that thing. So he carries that and puts it in my bedroom, and it's like a piece of crap. I paid him like $30 for his trouble because he had to like pick it up and put it in a wheelbarrow and, do an American Pickers things and take it from somebody's house and wheelbarrow it back to his house. He had to do some work, so I paid him like $30 for the work. And then he got this other friend of mine who's strong, and they both carried it in here, and they said, you don't understand how heavy this TV is. And then it was just sitting over there in the corner, and I ran the signal out like with the extra long cable, and I could hook it up out here, but then I couldn't control it with the remote because the receiver had to be out in the other room, and it was just irritated me because it was taking up so much space. And so me being me and a little bit touched in the head, the TV weighed God knows how much. I don't know. But I opened my window because it was beside my window, and it's about a 10-foot drop onto concrete steps. And I pushed it out the window. I picked it up somehow, and I jimmied it out the window, and I actually damaged the window frame and the screen because it's a 32-inch TV. And it weighed, I don't know how much it weighed, 150 pounds probably. I don't know. But I pushed it out. One morning, I'm sick of UTV. And I just pushed it out the window. And I expected it to like break, like in an easily disposable fashion. Because there's no way I could carry it out of here. And I wasn't going to ask anybody to do that. But I said, the garbage cans are right there, so I can push it out the window. And then, it'll break, and then I can pick up whatever few pieces are left, and, just throw it out that way and do it all myself. Because of the people I know, I don't like to ask for help. So I did that, I like jockeyed that TV, and it would barely fit out the window, and I pushed it out the window finally, and it fell. And it exploded like a bomb. I learned nothing from Red in the hallway with a TV smaller than that. It exploded like a bomb. And the glass to it, I'm not even kidding. It was that thick. And you know how heavy glass is. The glass picture tube to it, it was literally that thick. Like that. And so there was glass and pieces of TV everywhere. It was a huge mess I had to clean up. And there was little fragments of glass and big fragments of glass, and pieces of the TV were all over the place. And I made this huge fucking mess. I don't know what people thought who heard the explosion, but I did not give a fuck. And so I had to go out there with a bucket and try to clean it up, and then limp my way up the steps to where the garbage cans were and pick up the bucket and throw it in there, and then pick up the chassis And I was using gloves and stuff because I'm handling glass and even like there was the smaller pieces of glass. There's still glass out there probably from it. But that just goes to show you, if you are in a situation where you have a TV that you no longer like, that you paid nothing for except for $30, don't throw it out of a second story window to get rid of it. Just, if you take anything away from this video, take that away, because that took me days to clean up that damn mess I made with that TV. I thought for some reason that the TV wouldn't explode like a bomb into a million pieces, to where the biggest piece of glass was only like yay big of this giant picture tube, and the glass was unbelievably heavy with it. That was the weight of it, was the picture tube. The glass was like crazy thick, which I don't know nothing about. I don't know how old the TV was, but the TV was older and it wasn't described to me right over the phone, or I would have said, no, I don't want that. Because it had like, you could see the pixels in the TV, you know. It wasn't a good TV. It wasn't like, it was older than I thought it was going to be. It was completely different than what it was described to me. And it had that thing where you could see the pixels if you look close enough at it. And the picture on it, it wasn't even very good. So yeah, if you're ever in a situation where you have a gigantic 150-pound to 200-pound TV in your house, and do not push it out of the window from a second story onto concrete. So that is your takeaway from this 2.5 hour bit of nonsense that I just threw at you. Just don't do that. And like, I had to make sure my cat wasn't around, you know, because you know, I was like, okay, he doesn't seem to be around, but to make sure, I'm going to put food out at this other window and ring my bell. And you know, that way, because I would open that window sometimes and he would like, yeah man, what's up, you gonna come out and pet me, you gonna give me some food, me. And you know, I didn't want to kill him by dropping a gigantic TV on him, so I didn't do that. I just created a great deal of work for myself. I made an incredible mess. And yeah, but yeah, I get, like I said in a video where I was talking about catching a rat in a park and wanting to cast it in the middle of a basketball game. Like, that's part of my craziness, is I get these ideas, and they just seem like cool ideas. I was like, what if I just, instead of like asking people to carry this stupid fucking piece of shit out of here, I don't want to ask the same people that carried it in here for me and about herniated themselves carrying it in there for me to do it. What if I just pushed it out the window? The garbage cans are right there up the steps. And so I was like, yeah, I want to push it out the window because I hate the fucking thing. So yeah, I'll just push it out the fucking window. So yeah, I just get ideas like that, you know, because I'm a bit touched in the head. And yeah, that was fun for all of about, I would say 1.5 seconds before it hit. Getting it in position, and I did do damage to my window. I broke the screen on the window, which the landlord doesn't know about, I don't think. And I also, whatever the jam part on the bottom of the window, I also like chipped a piece out of it, following this course that I got in my head of this crazy idea. But yeah. I wish I would have had Red here to help me do it, man. She probably could have done it in a much more better fashion than what I did. Because if she could throw a TV 14 feet in the air, I bet you she could push one out a window easy. That's that crack strength, man. Crack power. So anyways, that's 2.5 hours of your time that I have just wasted if you watch this whole thing. And if you considered it a waste of time and you're not sick with the benzo problem, I apologize for my endless gabble and garrulousness, loquaciousness, verbosity, and just endless love with the sound of idiosyncratic arrangements of words coming out of this orifice in the middle of my face. I apologize for that. But if you had time to kill and you were sick in bed with benzos and you wanted to hear somebody that understands what that's like, and you enjoy somebody and you enjoy the sound of my voice and you find it calming and relaxing, or if you are, I am so boring that I'm a human sleeping pill, which I am about to test out whenever you watch this video and try to go back to sleep, then I have served a purpose. And you know what? If being a jackass on the internet, or being boring, or being weird, or just being different, you gotta admit there's not too many people like me, and not too many people on the internet who have stories like me. I have had a pretty unique life. There's not many people in this world that have experienced a growth spurt from 5'11" to 6'2" in 10 days. Not even Andre the Giant grew 3 inches in 10 days. But I've had that experience. I've had many odd experiences, which many of which I've shared with you. And now that we have surpassed Goodfellas length and are heading into Gladiator starring Russell Crowe length, I think it's time for me to click that button. So you won't be hearing from me for a while, and that is a solemn promise, because I'm going to be working on my audiobook, and I'm going to be trying to figure that stuff out, and I'm going to put it up all at once. I'm not going to like put it up in sections. I'm going to put this 7 Voyages of Sinbad, I'm going to put it up all at once. And personally, I like when people watch my stuff, but it doesn't really have any effect on me, because if people don't watch my stuff, because I am used to being an off-putting individual, and I'm used to being a square peg in a round hole sort of world, so it doesn't matter to me. And now it's time to get my kava chamomile tea and drink up. So wherever you are in this wide world of ours, I hope that you're surviving at the very least. I hope if you're suffering from benzo problems, you're not suffering too bad at the moment. And I hope you understand that your suffering is temporary. Even though at the time that you're going through it, it seems endless. It's just a temporary thing. It just takes lots and lots of time to get over this stuff. And as usual, God bless and good fortune. Adios.